Exposed. How my millionaire client transformed my life after my fiancé sister bankrupted me. The sun hung low over Maplewood's tree-lined streets, casting a golden glow on Sweet Beginnings, the bakery I had poured my heart into. But inside I was broken. Just weeks prior, I had a fiancé and a sister I trusted completely. Now they were gone, leaving me with nothing but my shattered dreams and an empty cash register. My hands trembled as I kneaded dough, fighting back tears. Betrayal felt like a weight pressing down on my chest, squeezing out any hope I might cling to. Then came Greg. He walked into my bakery, a whirl of warmth and confidence. I was busy trying to mask my turmoil, but when our eyes met, everything changed. Over steaming cups of coffee, he listened intently as I unfolded my story of heartbreak, betrayal, and the looming shadow of bankruptcy. I could hardly believe a man like him would care what I had to say, but he did. I poured my soul out, detailing how my fiancé Jake and my sister Lily conspired to embezzle my savings, leaving me with nothing but the bitter taste of deceit. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As I spoke, I could see compassion in Greg's eyes. His presence was like a lifeline thrown into a stormy sea. He could have easily walked out, ignoring my plight just like others had. But he stayed. We brainstormed ideas over the next few weeks, planning an outdoor community initiative that would uplift struggling local businesses, including my bakery. That energy, that rush of purpose began to revive me bit by bit. I felt myself coming back to life. But shadows lingered. Just as hope shimmered on the horizon, whispers of scandal surfaced in town. Rumors spread about Lily's past, reigniting resentment and doubt. I wanted to hide, but I knew I couldn't. With a major bake sale approaching, my heart raced, caught in the clutches of anxiety and the fear of being judged again. I stood before my oven, and it felt like I was standing at the edge of a cliff, ready to jump. Would I find the strength to face my family and my community? In that moment, I realized I wasn't just fighting for myself anymore. My children needed stability, and the warmth of community mattered more than ever. I could no longer shroud myself in shame. With every pastry I crafted, I infused them with love and courage. My journey was about to grow bolder, and as uncertainty loomed, I understood that this was my chance to reclaim not just my bakery, but my life. And so, with every ounce of strength built from love, heartbreak, and resilience, I prepared to confront my past. Would I crumble under the weight of betrayal? Or could I rise from the ashes? The bake sale loomed ahead, but so did a choice, one that would define my future, and that of my family. Would Maplewood see the real Claire? The moment of truth was unfolding. It was now or never. As the day of the bake sale approached, the air was thick with anticipation and my own creeping anxiety. I could hear the faint sound of children laughing outside, a stark contrast to the turmoil swirling within me. Each morning as I opened the bakery, the sweet scent of vanilla and cinnamon reminded me of happier times, tinged now with heartache. Yet, each donut I shaped felt like a small step toward healing. Greg was always there, his presence comforting and steady. As we prepared for the bake sale together, his encouragement lifted my spirits. You have something special, Claire. This community will see that, he'd say, his voice infused with belief. I could only hope he was right. The night before the event, I stayed late at the bakery, my heart racing as I piled trays of cookies and pies. Each dessert was crafted with care. A piece of my heart poured into the batter. Yet doubts lingered like shadows at the edges of my confidence. What if the townsfolk turned their backs again? What if they whispered behind my back, reminding me of my sister's mistakes? As I cleaned the counters, the door creaked open, and in walked Sally, the town's most opinionated critic and my former friend. She had always managed to undermine me with subtle jabs under the guise of kindness. Tonight I expected the worst. I heard you're putting on a big show tomorrow, she began. Her tone dripped with feigned sweetness. I hope the baked goods are better than your last attempt. Bitterness flared in my chest, but I forced a smile. Thank you, Sally. I've been working hard. With a look that suggested she doubted my efforts, she left, and my resolve wavered. Yet, standing alone in the bakery, I remembered the warmth in Greg's eyes. I wasn't just baking for acceptance. I was doing this for my future, for my kids, for everyone who had believed in me. That night I barely slept. My mind buzzed with both nerves and determination. I could not let the words of a few drown out the hope growing within me. As dawn broke, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink, I felt a flicker of courage. It was time to put my heart on display. The day of the bake sale arrived, and I arrived early to set up. The park was abuzz with activity. Local vendors were unpacking their goods, families were arriving, and a sense of excitement filled the air. My heart raced as I stood beside my table, a display of colorful pastries gleaming under the sunlight. People began to trickle in, and I offered warm smiles and fresh coffee. Each person who came near my booth felt like a new opportunity, an opportunity to rebuild, reconnect, and rise above. Conversations sparked, laughter bubbled, but then came the familiar face, Jake. Stumbling upon the scene, he looked both out of place and dangerously charismatic. Claire, his voice sliced through the joyful noise. I didn't think you would actually show your face here. The laughter around me faded, the air thickening with tension. My heart pounded fiercely as all eyes turned toward us, and in that moment, I faced not just him, but also every ounce of betrayal and hurt he had caused. Did I have the power to rise above him, to reclaim my narrative? With a deep breath and my heart racing, I stood tall. Jake, it's not your opinion that matters anymore, I declared, feelings surging within me that I never thought I could muster. The murmurs began again, doubt mixed with intrigue. I could feel the weight of their eyes, watching and waiting. Would this be the moment where I would either crumble or rise? As his smirk faded, a new determination surged within me. I had people who believed in me now. I thought of Greg, of my children, of the community that was slowly beginning to wrap around me. This was more than a bake sale. It was my declaration of independence. Little did I know, the real battle was just beginning. Would I find the strength to not only reclaim my bakery but my entire life? As the crowd began to buzz again, I knew one thing for certain: it was time to remind everyone, including myself, who Claire really was. The words hung in the air as the crowd started to murmur, exchanging glances filled with curiosity and disbelief. I felt the tension shift from Jake's presence to my response. Clarity washed over me amid the jumble of strangers and familiar faces. I had spoken, and it felt like the first deep breath after swimming underwater. What was that all about? I overheard one woman whisper to her friend, reminding me just how much energy surrounded us. Pushed against me like a tide. I could either let it drown me or ride the wave. Jake's expression shifted from smug to contemplative as he processed my words. I'd heard he was arriving back in town to settle an estate, but seeing him brought back memories I thought I had buried. I was about to engage in a showdown when Greg stepped up to my side, his presence grounding me. Hey, don't let him get to you, he said softly, his fingers brushing against mine. Look at how far you've come already. I glanced at my display once more. The cherry pies glistened under the sun. The frosting on my cupcakes sparkled like tiny jewels. Those desserts weren't just for the sale. They were a representation of my journey. I let out a slow, deep breath, letting the scent of baked goods fill my lungs, grounding me to this moment. Just as I was regaining my composure, a small boy, no older than 5, approached my booth wide-eyed. Are those donuts? He exclaimed as his mouth watered. I couldn't help but smile. Yes. Would you like to try one? I crouched to his level, hoping to distract him from the conflict behind me. He nodded enthusiastically. Pointing at a chocolate-glazed one, I handed it over, and he beamed up at me with pure joy. Watching his innocent delight, I remembered why I was here. Perhaps it wasn't just about proving myself. It was about sharing joy, one donut at a time. Jake cleared his throat loudly. Don't know how you think this will last, Claire. People will get tired of sweets just like they tired of you. A ripple of discomfort passed through the crowd. I could feel their eyes flick towards me, weighing the familiarity of the past and the promise of the new. It took everything in me to hold on to that moment of joy with the little boy, using it as an anchor. I refused to let Jake's words cut me down again. Maybe, I replied, forcing a confident tone. But this time I'm not putting my worth in someone else's hands. I raised my chin defiantly. I'm creating something good here, and I'll keep creating even if it's just for those who believe in me. The crowd shifted, sensing the intensity buzzing in the air. Jake's smirk faltered, and for a moment surprise flickered in his eyes. Did he actually think I would shrink under his gaze? I turned back to the tables of goodies, allowing myself a moment of closure. Then without hesitation, I grabbed a fresh peach tart and offered it to the boy. What do you think? Want to taste this too? His eyes lit up, clarity and hope overwhelming my nervousness. The townsfolk began to chatter enthusiastically, their words overlapping in a comforting murmur. The gossip of Jake felt distant now, overshadowed by the laughter and excitement of customers mingling. Yet through it all, I felt a weight lingering, a realization that Jake would not just vanish after today. The moment passed, yet I embodied the possibility of what was to come, and the battle lines were just beginning to draw deeper, more personal than I anticipated. That I turned to Greg, our eyes locking momentarily. In that shared silence he understood what was stirring beneath the surface. Just then the announcement rang out, cutting through the chatter. Next up is Claire's booth for the bake-off competition. My breath caught. Suddenly the stakes were higher than I imagined. Would I be able to stand up not just for myself but my desserts as well? As adrenaline surged through my veins, I felt something shift in the atmosphere. Here I was, baking not only to reclaim my life but also to define what it meant to be Claire. It was about to get much more intense, and this moment was just the beginning. Would I rise to the challenge of the competition, or would old demons drag me down once again? The answer was just around the corner, waiting to unfold. The crowd around me erupted with excited chatter as I approached the center stage. My heart raced, a medley of nerves and anticipation vibrating in my chest. The smell of baked goods lingered in the air, mixing with the sweet scent of summer, and I took another deep breath to steady myself. This was my moment, but the weight of Jake's words pressed heavily on my shoulders. Don't forget to smile, Claire. Greg called out from the sidelines, his voice cutting through the noise. I managed a small smile, one that felt tentative but genuine. It was a reminder that I wasn't alone. With Greg's encouragement I stepped forward, the bright lights illuminating my booth. Welcome to the bake-off, exclaimed the announcer, a voice I barely recognized as he called for attention. Today we have an exciting lineup of baked treats, and our first competitor is none other than Claire Thompson. The audience buzzed with enthusiasm. I tried to soak it all in, hoping to drown out the old voices that echoed in my mind. I grabbed the microphone, my hand trembling slightly. Hi everyone, I called out, raising my voice above the din. Thank you for being here today. I am so excited to share my creations with you, and I hope they bring you as much joy as they bring me. The crowd clapped, a wave of warmth washing over me as I arranged my desserts in front of the audience. Memories flooded my mind, warm holidays filled with laughter and love, the taste of home baked into every bite. I could picture my grandmother in the kitchen, flour dusting her cheeks, smiling as she taught me to bake. I tried to channel that same enthusiasm she had, hoping my desserts would make others feel as special as she had made me feel. Then I saw Jake leaning against a booth, arms crossed, and that familiar smirk plastered across his face. He stood like a predator, ready to pounce on any sign of weakness. It made my stomach knot, but I shook it off. This wasn't about him, it was about me breaking free. Today I'm featuring blueberry muffins, chocolate chip cookies, peach tarts, and my special raspberry eclairs, I announced, gesturing to each item. Everything is made from scratch, filled with love and a little bit of adventure. I could see the crowd's energy shift as they leaned in, curiosity replacing judgment. In that moment I felt lighter. With each word I was letting go of the past, of every snide comment and judgment thrown my way. I envisioned a world where I wasn't overshadowed, where I could shine on my own. The judges, seated in front of me, exchanged glances over my creations, their expressions inscrutable. I waited anxiously as they took their first bites. Each crunch, each murmur of delight ignited a spark of hope within me. Then came the moment of truth. One judge, clearing her throat, looked straight at me. These cookies have such depth, it's a homey taste. Did you add something special? I paused, unsure how to articulate the truth behind my flavors. Yes. They carry a piece of my story, of my family. My voice steadied as I spoke, the honesty surprising me. Suddenly Jake stepped forward, interrupting my moment. What's this? A sob story to win the competition? I flinched at his interruption, but the crowd's murmurs turned to shouts of disapproval. "Let her speak, Jake," yelled someone from the back. The support was unexpected and intoxicating. I locked eyes with Greg, who mouthed, "You've got this." His faith in me ignited a flame of determination I didn't know I possessed. This was no longer just a competition. It was becoming a reclamation of my identity. As I stood there, Jake's voice faded into the background. What mattered was the satisfaction in sharing my heart through baking, the connection I sensed with everyone around me. With a deep breath, I smiled brightly, ready to embrace the challenge ahead. But just then, something unexpected happened. A figure, shrouded in the crowd, caught my eye. Unfamiliar yet familiar. Who were they, and what role would they play in the unfolding drama? The tension thickened in the air, and my heart raced at the thought of what could come next. I squinted through the bright lights, trying to focus on the mysterious figure. My heart thudded in my chest, and I felt a deep tingle of both excitement and anxiety. Who was this stranger? My hands gripped the edge of the booth tighter, and I momentarily lost track of the competition unfolding just beyond my immediate concern. The figure moved closer, inch by inch through the throng of people. A buzz of chatter filled the air, but all I could hear was the rapid rhythm of my heartbeat, drowning out everything else. As the crowd parted, their face finally emerged into the light, and I gasped. It was Lisa. The feeling hit me like a freight train. My hands shook slightly, and the warmth that had swelled in my chest began to shift into a cold knot of anxiety. The flames of embarrassment flickered to life, the distance of our last encounter too recent and filled with unresolved tension. Lisa, my old friend, who had once cheered for my dreams, but had hurt me by siding with Jake during our darkest moments. "Claire," she called, a mix of enthusiasm and caution in her voice. "I came to see your big moment." The crowd shifted as some heads turned toward her, their curious expressions growing more intimate with every passing second. I sensed their eagerness to witness this unexpected reunion. A wave of heat washed over me as whispers circulated among them. "Hey Lisa," I managed to say, my eyes darting between her and the judges, who were still unfolding my desserts. I felt like a deer caught in the headlights, unsure of how to steer this awkward situation. Would the crowd start to turn against me for my past? Greg, noticing my unease, stepped closer to my side. "Just breathe. Focus on your baking," he whispered, offering me a steadying hand on my lower back. His faith guided me, so I nodded, though my gaze fixated on Lisa. "I know you've worked hard for this," Lisa continued, stepping closer, her gaze softening. "Despite everything that happened, I want you to know I'm proud of you." "Proud?" I swallowed hard, the taste bittersweet. Her kind words felt like a mixture of warmth and cold reality, a reminder of the betrayal I'd felt in her siding with Jake. But this moment was too important to let old wounds bleed through. I took a deep breath, drawing strength from my surroundings. My booth sparkled with the delights I had poured my heart into creating. "Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate it. But today isn't about the past, it's about honoring where I came from," I said, surprising myself with the boldness in my voice. A flicker of guilt washed over her features, only for a second, before she masked it with a new resolve. "Let us talk after this, okay? I've missed our friendship." The audience remained engaged, their excitement building, a tension of anticipation swirling around us, the bake-off momentarily forgotten as they watched us. I forced myself to smile, my heart pounding a little slower now. I wanted to believe that perhaps today wasn't only about baking. It could be about healing too. The judges resumed their focused inspection, and I turned my attention back to them, ready to engage with my treats, my story. But a flicker of doubt remained deep within. Lisa's presence sparked something, the possibility of a restored friendship or a new unraveling. Would I have the strength for that journey? As I wrapped up my presentation, I quickly glanced back at Lisa one more time. In that split second, I saw something in her eyes that promised something deeper, an apology, maybe a fresh start. Just then, the head judge made eye contact with me, his expression shifting to one of surprise. "Claire, can you tell us more about the inspiration behind your desserts?" I took a deep breath, readying myself to speak while the shadows of my past loomed nearby. My voice was steady but my heart raced. "Of course I can share that," and that's when I noticed Jake was no longer watching from a distance. He was moving through the crowd, tension etched into his features, headed toward Lisa. This wasn't just about the bake-off anymore. It was spiraling into a confrontation I didn't see. I felt my breath catch as I watched Jake stride through the crowd, his demeanor radiating the tension of our shared past. Lisa's eyes widened as she caught sight of him, her expression shifting from warm nostalgia to something more apprehensive. The crowd, ever eager for drama, seemed to hold its collective breath, waiting for the inevitable clash. "Claire," Jake called, his voice cutting through the hushed whispers. My chest tightened, a mix of dread and hope swirling inside me. Did he really think he could just show up here in my moment of triumph? I blinked, trying to process what was happening. The judges were still waiting for my answer, the room heavy with expectation. "Tell us about your inspiration," the head judge gently prodded. But my focus was now trapped between Lisa and Jake. I knew I needed to keep my composure. This was my moment, after all the culmination of years spent pouring my heart and soul into baking. I started, my voice wavering as I glanced between Lisa and Jake. "My inspiration is about overcoming obstacles," I managed to say, my gaze locking on each judge. "Every layer of these desserts represents a different challenge I've conquered." But Jake was closing in, his expression a mixture of frustration and determination. "Claire, can we talk? For real?" he said, his voice lowered but firm. "Now's not the time, Jake." I shot back, my heart racing. The crowd leaned in, eager to witness the unfolding drama. A part of me wanted to scream, to tell him to back off. He deserve this moment. But another part, the part that still held on to what we had whispered at me to listen. "I just want to explain," he started, but Lisa stepped forward, anchoring her presence next to me, her protective instincts kicking in. "Don't," she said, her voice steady. "You don't get to make this about you, Jake. This is Claire's moment." I could hardly believe how empowered I felt in that moment, standing there beside Lisa. The warmth of solidarity surged through me, pushing away Jake's looming shadow. I glanced at him, and for a brief second our eyes met. There was regret swirling in his personal history, crossfaded with the reality of now. But it didn't matter. "Thank you," I whispered to Lisa, and for the first time in so long, I felt a spark of hope that we might actually navigate this complicated web together. The applause erupted as the judges finally turned their attention back to my desserts, which were mostly forgotten in the whirlwind of confrontation. I gathered my thoughts, my heart still racing but settling as I embraced the moment again. "Can you focus on what's in front of you?" the head judge urged. I took a deep breath and continued. "Baking is about more than just ingredients. It's about bringing people together, healing old wounds and creating new memories." As I spoke, I noticed the crowd growing more invested. Phones came out, capturing the moment, from Lisa's fierce gaze to the simmering tension of Jake hovering just out of reach. But just as my confidence surged, my skin prickled with an impending sense of dread. What would Jake do next? And how far was he willing to go to fight for a connection that seemed long gone? Would he risk everything to drag us back into the chaos we had sought to escape? I glanced at Lisa again, and I could see her determination mirrored mine. Maybe, just maybe, we could rewrite this story together. But that hope was dashed as I saw Jake reach into his coat pocket. After a brief pause, he pulled out a small, shining object. My breath caught as the realization hit me it was a ring. In that moment, time seemed to stop. What was he about to say? My heart pounded and everything else faded. All that mattered was this one looming question, echoing in the silence of the crowd. Was this a desperate plea for reconciliation or a challenge that would change our lives forever? The ring glimmered under the bright stage lights, casting tiny rays of hope and despair all at once. My chest tightened at the sight of it. Was he really doing this? The murmurs in the crowd grew louder, curiosity mixed with incredulity. I could hardly breathe as I watched Jake's eyes flicker from the ring to me, searching for something, for forgiveness, perhaps, or maybe just clarity. "Claire," he said, his voice steady now, but the emotion beneath was palpable. "I know I hurt you. I don't expect you to just accept this, but I realized I made a huge mistake." He held the ring out, fingers trembling slightly. "I want to start over. Will you marry me?" Gasps echoed through the room, and I could feel Lisa tense beside me. My heart raced, each beat pounding in my ears. I felt the weight of the moment, time suspended, the future hanging by a fragile thread. Did he think a shiny bauble could erase the pain he'd caused? My mouth opened to speak, but the words tangled in my throat. The head judge's voice broke through the chaos. This is a baking competition, not a proposal setting. The laughter that followed was tinged with disbelief. It felt surreal, as if I were watching a scene in a movie, one that had spiraled out of control. Jake, this isn't how you fix things. I finally managed to say, my heart broken but resolute. You can't just show up here, make a grand gesture, and expect everything to be fine. It doesn't work that way. The anger coursed through me, a hot rush that propelled me forward. He dropped the ring back into his pocket, disappointment flashing across his face. I'm not just trying to fix things, he said quickly, desperation creeping into his voice. I want to show you I can be better. I know I can be better if you'll let me. Please just give me a chance. With every word, the crowd hung on his every breath, and I could sense the mixture of emotions. Awe, disbelief, sympathy. But for me, the gravity of our past crashed down like a tidal wave. Chance. I scoffed, shaking my head. You had your chance. You threw it away. That sentence felt like a knife slicing through the air, leaving a silence so thick it felt suffocating. I could see the hurt in his eyes, and for a moment, a flicker of sympathy bubbled inside me. But as I looked out into that sea of faces, friends, family, strangers, I realized how much I had fought to reclaim my life, to finally stand on my own. Could I really throw that away for a memory wrapped in a promise? Claire, please, Lisa interjected, squeezing my hand. Think this through. You've worked so hard to get here. Her steady gaze met mine, grounding me. Don't you see what this is? I said to the crowd, searching for some kind of solidarity. This is a distraction. I didn't come here to play nice or fix broken things. I came here to win. With those words echoing between us, I felt the tension shift. The crowd stirred, murmurs rising again, and I stood taller, feeling a wave of purpose surge through me. Jake stepped closer, desperation painting his features. You know I love you, Claire. I've always loved you. But those words fell flat against the wall I had built to protect my heart. I shook my head, holding on to my resolve. Love isn't enough without trust. A tense silence settled before the crowd reacted with a mix of gasps and applause, some supporting me and others rallying for him. My heart raced, caught in a whirlwind of emotions. I turned back to the judges, ready to show them why I belonged here, why I deserved this moment. My dreams had always included baking, not broken promises. But just as I was about to continue, Jake's hand shot out to grab my wrist. Wait, Claire, don't walk away from this. His grip was tight and it made my heart race, not out of fear, but uncertainty. The crowd fell silent again, a deliberate stillness hanging in the air. What was I about to do? Was this finally a defining moment for me? I searched his eyes, trying to figure out if they held any other truths, any hope whatsoever. Yet, deep down, there was only one question that remained. Could I take this leap of faith, or was I already too far gone into my own path of independence? Suddenly, out of the silence, the head judge cleared their throat. Claire, what will you do? The moment was excruciating. What would I say? Would I accept his leap or reject the echoes of our past? And just like that, the uncertainty loomed over us all. My heart pounded against my ribcage as all eyes on the stage focused on me, waiting for my response. I could feel the heat of their stares, the weight of expectation bearing down like a thick fog, and Jake's eyes were a tempest, swirling with desperation and hope, urging me to dive into the waters of our past. Claire, he began again, but I raised my hand, silencing him. I needed a moment. I needed clarity. The world around me faded, and for an instant, all I could hear was my own breath, shallow and quick. Memories cascaded through my mind. The laughter we shared, the dreams we built together, the heartache when betrayal struck like a single lightning bolt on a clear day. Each recollection pulled me in a different direction, a tug of war between my heart and my head. The judges shifted uncomfortably, their chairs creaking in the silence. I could see Lisa in my periphery, concern etched deeply across her face. She was the anchor in this storm, but was I ready to let go of what I had fought to rebuild? Claire, Jake's voice broke through, softer now, more vulnerable. I know I messed up. There's no excuse for what I did. But I've changed. I've been working on myself. I felt a surge of defiance rise within me. Working on yourself? You think that's enough? Change takes time, Jake. Trust takes time. You think a ring can just fix everything? His shoulders sagged as if my words were a physical blow. In that moment, the crowd wasn't just watching a heated exchange. They were witnessing the raw, messy human experience of love, loss, and hope. I turned my gaze towards them, searching their faces for encouragement. Friends, family, strangers who didn't know the depths of my pain but could feel its weight in the air. But Jake wasn't backing down. I'm not asking you to forget. I'd never ask that. Just consider us. Consider the possibility we could have something beautiful again. The thought settled into my mind, heavy and uncomfortable. Beautiful. Could it ever be that again? My thoughts drifted to those late-night conversations, moments when everything felt perfect, but soon shattered by betrayal. I don't know, Jake, I hesitated, my heart warring with my desire to protect myself. The crowd shifted again, the tension palpable. I caught sight of a woman in the front, her expression mirroring my own inner turmoil. She had probably faced moments that felt impossibly heavy, moments when the heart wanted one thing but the mind ached with past scars. I need you to understand. This is more than just a proposal for me. It's about forgiveness, and I can't pretend those feelings don't exist, I said, my voice cracking. I'm scared. I don't want to let you back in just to be hurt again. I fought so hard to find myself again. A low murmur spread among the audience, a mix of empathy and emotional connection. I could feel their support, wrapping around me like a warm embrace. But Jake's eyes flickered with a mix of fear and determination. Let me prove it to you, he urged, so earnest. I can be the person you saw in me before. All you need to do is give me one more chance. I closed my eyes, searching for an answer within myself. Was I truly ready to step back into that world of uncertainty? Was I willing to risk it all again, after standing so bravely on my own? Claire, please. His voice was a whisper now, filled with a raw honesty that cut deeper than any knife. What am I going to say? The answer loomed ahead, a shadowy figure in my mind. The head judge watched me, his eyes filled with what seemed to be understanding. You completely decide the next step. Take your time. I took a deep breath, the weight of my decision pressing down on me like an anvil. Yeah, time. And just like that, the choice began to solidify in my mind, but something deeper stirred within me. How do I know this isn't just another clever act? I finally said, my courage warring with a lingering fear. Jake's expression shifted, and for a moment, the crowd faded again as it was just us in our own world. I'll spend the rest of my life showing you. A wave of emotion crashed over me, forcing my heart into a wild rhythm. How could I choose? I had fought so hard to escape the past, but what if the potential for a new future was right in front of me? In that charged atmosphere, I stood on the precipice of a choice that could change everything once again. Yet, as I opened my mouth to respond, uncertainty gripped me tighter than ever. What on earth would be my final decision? Time seemed to stretch endlessly as I stood before the audience, my mind racing with doubts and possibilities. Each heartbeat echoed in my ears, reminding me of the weight of this decision. The cacophony of emotions, fear, love, hope swirled inside me, threatening to burst free. Claire, Jake's voice rang out again, gentle and imploring. Just give me a chance to show you. His eyes, once a source of overwhelming joy, now bore the brunt of my hurt like a fragile glass teetering on a cliff. I searched his gaze, looking for signs of the man I once knew, deep down the man who could have built a glorious future with me if only he'd chosen honesty over secrecy. Do you even understand what you're asking? I whispered, emotion choking my words. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about me affecting my whole life again. The crowd had grown silent, but I sensed the unspoken tension between the words hanging in the air. I felt the shadow of how they judged me and watched closely, hoping for a resolution, even if that resolution would sting. I'm asking you to believe in the possibility for something new. New? I laughed bitterly, the sound harsh against my skin. What about the old? The memories? They don't just vanish overnight because you've decided to turn a new leaf. I know, he replied, his voice steady, a hint of pleading woven through it. And I'm not asking you to forget. I just want the chance to earn back the trust once shattered. Around me, breaths were held, and my heart was at war with my head. Each passing second felt like an eternity, every eye searching mine, trying to catch a glimpse of what I'd decide. Lisa's face was a beacon of encouragement, but even her reassurance felt muted against my internal struggle. Look, I can't promise that I'll magically trust you again. I can't pretend like this is easy. I don't need you to pretend. Just let me in little by little, he urged, his voice trembling slightly. I'll fight for you, Claire. You won't regret it. Regret would follow me like a shadow no matter what. But I had spent so many sleepless nights picking up the pieces of my shattered self. Would I really be strong enough to let him inside again? I wanted to feel safe, to be loved without fear looming behind every smile, every gesture. The thought knitted itself deeper into my heart. What if this was our chance? What if I finally get to rewrite our story? I opened my mouth to speak, and 1,000 words clashed like thunder in my mind. What if we could rise from the ashes together? But then I thought about the pain, the sleepless nights, the tears shed over betrayal. Time is an important factor, I said finally, my voice steady but low. I can't rush into this. I need to believe it's real this time. His gaze softened, a flicker of hope ignited in his eyes. Then let us take our time. I'll show you, Claire. Promise. I nodded slowly, still feeling unsure. I didn't want to simply hold on to what was wrong before. I wanted to witness transformation, evolution, a new bond solidified in honesty. As the tense silence finally broke in the room, the crowd began to murmur. Their energy shifted, signaling support for a new beginning, but my heart still trembled in uncertainty. Suddenly, a voice piped up from the back, shattering my moment of clarity. Why risk it at all? The question hung there, pointed and sharp. All heads turned, including mine, to find the source, and suddenly the spotlight didn't feel so warm. Was I about to embark on a new journey laden with more heartbreak? Or could this be the turning point for both Jake and me? Do I take a chance on love again? Am I brave enough? A shiver ran down my spine at the reality of it all. That I took a breath, but the answer still danced just out of reach, teasing and tormenting. Could I truly be ready to let my heart expose the raw truths to the possibility of joy again? The stakes had never been higher, but with every beat, my spirit longed for the answer. Would I find the strength within to embrace what was next, or was it time to finally let go for good? In that heavy silence, I felt like the whole world was on pause. I saw faces reflecting my uncertainty, eyes wide with hope and concern. Jake's expression shifted, a flicker of apprehension dancing across his features as if he realized the weight behind my indecision. With every heartbeat, I let the question linger. Would I leap into the unknown again? I could see the anticipation in Greg's gaze, his silent encouragement reminding me of how far I had come. I recalled the warmth of their smiles at the bake sale, the little boy whose joy reminded me of the simple pleasures in life. My bakery had been reborn, fueled by love, resilience, and a newfound sense of community. As I glanced back at Jake, I felt a confusing mix of emotions rolling within me. You need to understand, I said slowly, my voice shaking yet resolute. You shattered my trust, and trust takes time to rebuild. It doesn't come with a sparkly ring. The crowd's murmurs quieted, tension knitting us together in a moment of shared understanding. People had been whispering in hushed tones, but now they were leaning in, eager to witness history unfolding. Jake nodded, his shoulders slumping, yet the determination in his eyes never wavered. I know I can't expect forgiveness overnight, but I'm asking for a chance to show you I'm committed. Not for the past, but for the future. I took a steadying breath. It was almost hypnotic, the rhythm of hope clashing against the echoes of betrayal. I need to dig deeper than just feelings, I said, grounding myself. Love is not enough without rebuilding a solid foundation. He swallowed hard, and I could see the flickers of emotion swirling in his expressions. Regret, longing, and dare I say, hope. Time unspooled like thread between us, fears battling with dreams. What I know now, I said louder this time, my heart gaining momentum, is that I deserve more. I deserve a love that lifts me, not a love that drags me back into darkness. I paused, searching the crowd for strength, revealing my unwavering resolve. I need to focus on my bakery. I need to focus on myself and my children. I want to reflect love through my work. And if you want to support me, it needs to be unconditional, without expectations. The air shifted, and I knew it resonated beyond just the two of us. Lisa nodded approvingly, and Greg's warm smile filled my heart with light. Were they cheering for me? Or cheering for the possibility of a new beginning? Claire, Jake spoke softly, grounding in the clarity that had spun into chaos. I'll be here cheering you on. I will keep my promise. I may not be perfect, but I want you to see me rebuilt better than before. Tears pricked my eyes, a wave of tenderness pushing against the boundary I'd carefully constructed. I had fought so hard for my way back, and maybe that didn't mean shutting the door entirely. Maybe it meant leaving it open if only a crack. "Okay," I said finally. "Let us take that time. Let us see where it leads together." The crowd erupted into applause, faces brightening with newfound hope, while Jake softened visibly. Relief washed over me, a promise to explore instead of hiding. In that beautiful space, I felt lighter, like layers of heartache were peeling away, replaced by the sweet layers of freshly baked pastries that filled the air with warmth and comfort. I completed the bake-off competition, sharing stories behind my creations. Laughter mixed with whispers, but this time, I remained unfazed by the echoes of the past. As the judges began to deliberate, Greg stood beside me, his presence steady. "You did it, Claire. You faced it all and you came through stronger." And just like that, life began anew. Standing there hand in hand with Greg, I felt a renewed sense of belonging. One built on layers of trust, determination, and love. In that moment, with the sun casting soft shadows over Maplewood, I recognized a deeper truth. I could embrace the future and carve my own path in this ever-evolving journey. As the crowd erupted in cheers at the announcement of the winner, I looked around, absorbing it all, the love, the support, the laughter, and I smiled, fully aware that this had transformed me in ways I had yet to comprehend. The victory didn't just belong to my baked goods. It belonged to the journey of a woman stepping back into her light, reclaiming her identity, and knowing that no matter what, she would rise again. Thank you for sharing this journey with me. You must continue to be part of this transformation. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm, and let them know this story matters. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your thoughts mean the world. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us grow our community and celebrate every moment together.